Hello, everybody. It's your boy, the Punk Otaku Scribe. And if you saw the title, we're going to be doing something a little different today. Um, so, in the couple of reviews that I've done thus far, I've broken down the film and not been so spoilery, and then gave my initial thoughts, and then ended the video. Not going to do that here. This is going to be a new series where I do a review if I'm talking about a movie, because this will be different topics and whatnot as well. But if I'm talking about a movie or a TV show, I'll give my initial thoughts. But within the thoughts, I'm just gonna spoil it because I need to give reasons as to why whatever I'm talking about has angered me so much. And this is gonna be for things that I didn't just find bad. It's gonna be for things that just genuinely baffled me and just angered me with their choices. And the reason I'm doing this is because it's not enough to just review something, say it's bad, and then move on. Especially if you're not going to spoil it. Because at the end of that kind of review, you'll be wondering, well, I mean, it was just kind of bad. Why would he be so worked up over that? Everything can be just kind of bad. No, so I'll need to just break it down. And that's the reason for the title. And that's how bad what I'm talking about in this video today is, that it inspired this series. That is how baffled and angry it made me. So, without further ado, here is why Skull Island made me so pissed off. So a couple of videos ago, I did a video where I basically reviewed and broke down some trailers that came out 3 weeks ago now. One of which was the trailer for this Netflix Skull Island series. Another trailer came out for it, but I missed it, so I didn't do a video on that. But I mentioned in the video on the first trailer that I thought it looked pretty intense, and I was excited for it. I thought it was a really good trailer. And I had no right to be excited. So the premise of this series is not even at all what I thought it would be, or even what the creators of the show said it would be either. The protagonists are two shit-heel teen boys, that are on this, escapade, I guess you could call it, with their dads. They're looking for monsters. They don't know about Skull Island, apparently, but they're looking for monsters. And then their ship that they're on out in the ocean gets attacked by the squid thing. Then they get marooned on an island, and one of the dads dies. And then they wake up on the island and they're separated. Okay. This first episode, despite that attack happening, was so boring. It was really, really boring. I hated it. I hated the characters. I hated the setup. And I hated the climax. It was all just so boring. It served nothing for itself. This intro. Before the ship gets attacked, there is another character who we will get to. Trust me, we will get to. A girl named Annie, who was captured at some point before the events of this episode, joins the boys and their dads when she's found in the water, and she gets marooned with the boys. I hate every last one of these characters. I hate them all. The two boys, their dynamic, they're Charlie and Mike. And their dynamic is this. This is Charlie. Whoa, I'm super cool and silly, but I'm also awkward around girls. And then Mike doesn't really have a personality until they get on the island. And then his whole personality is, my dad's dead. My dad's fucking dead. And then Annie is really confusing. She's a super cool adventure girl who's really good at everything, but she has no idea what anything is. And I mean, that gets explained a little bit at the end of the series, which we'll get to in a second, but it doesn't really amount to anything. It doesn't really explain everything else. Like, she had to survive on an island, so that's why she's, like, good at stuff. Okay, maybe, like, even as much as people like the concept of Tarzan, even Tarzan is a bit of a ridiculous idea. And that kind of character can be cool, but they have to be well written, and none of these characters are. Then there's Charlie's dad, who is the captain of the ship, who is named Cap. Creative. I love it. While he is the least annoying character of them all, there isn't one time where he's concerned for his son Charlie. They're separated from each other. It's an 8-episode series, and they're separated from each other for 4 episodes, reunited at the beginning of the 5th. And in 4 episodes, not once does this asshole say anything other than, like, maybe one time, kind of nonchalantly. Not one time does he say anything like, I need to find my son. I need to find my son. Where is my son on this dangerous island full of monsters? Never once. Never once. The entire time he's on screen, he's just going, ooh, Skull Island. Everything's so cool. I hated every last one of these characters. So, those are our characters for the entire 8 episodes. And we have to stick with them all 8 episodes. A majority of the time being with the teenagers, Charlie, Mike, and Annie. And they're the most annoying characters of this entire bunch. But, you know, okay, the characters are bad. Okay, fine. But what about the story? Is it at least good? Is everything else about it exciting? No. No, it's not. At all. Okay, a lot of it is banter between the teenagers. And I mean, there's monster attacks and stuff sometimes, but it's not that exciting. You know, it happens because it needs to. It doesn't happen because there's the island is an actual danger, which I mean it is, but there's nothing really to indicate that they need to be scared because they have super cool adventure girl with them who knows everything. You know, they come up on a monster, she's like, I don't care, dude. Woo! I'm gonna fight the monster, and I'm gonna show you how much I'm cooler than you, Mike. Which, yeah, she has something really against Mike and not Charlie. And I didn't see why. She's always like, I'm a better friend to Charlie than you, Mike. Even though Charlie's down there in a pit of bugs, and you told me to save him, and I said, no, I don't want to, but I'm a better friend. That's Annie. The whole time. Nearly. Until the end. Like I said, we'll get to that. No. It's not good at all. Okay. The first teaser that I talked about in a video, I said, oh, that's really exciting. You know why it was exciting? Because most of what it showed is in the last few episodes. That teaser, that trailer, hinged on all of its excitement to get you excited about it on its last 2 or 3 episodes or so. And also, not to mention, Kong isn't really in the series that much. And I don't mean it's like Godzilla 2014, where Godzilla was like, showed up for like 2 minutes, fought a monster, and then would pop in and out of the movie. No, he's not in it that much. He's in it for those last few episodes prominently. Like, in the first 4 to 5 episodes, he shows up maybe 2 or 3 times for like a second. He's silhouetted up against like a sun or something. You don't really get a look at him. The whole story hinges on these characters and their dynamics, but the characters and dynamics aren't that interesting. And the story of this series isn't even that interesting. Tell me if you've heard this one before. We need to get off this island. Yeah, that's the story. But Punk, you liked Kong Skull Island, right? Isn't that pretty much the story of that one? Yeah, I loved Kong Skull Island. I love The Lost World Jurassic Park and all those other movies. The only difference between Kong Skull Island and this series with its we need to get off this island concept is that in Kong Skull Island, characters had motivations that complicated the whole we need to get off this island thing. Whereas here, it's just we just need to get off the island. And we can't because there's a squid thing out there that that's keeping us from doing it. And yeah, on top of that, like I said, Kong's not in it that much. There is a rule in creature feature cinema, mainly horror ones, but this is like a one-on-one rule. The rule being, you do not show your creature for at least the first 30 minutes. They took that rule in this and ran with it. Kong means nothing until, like I said, the last few episodes. But that only really works if, like I said, you don't expect the creature, or the creature is like, taking everyone out one by one, and, they're in the shadows or they're invisible or something. It makes it scarier. With this, it's a Skull Island series. I can't think of any Skull Island media, whether it was a comic book or another series or a movie even, where characters went to Skull Island and I thought to myself, I think I want to see what else this island has to offer, and I don't want to see King Kong. I have never thought that, ever. I have said, I'd like to see more of this island, but mainly what I would hope is that in a Skull Island series, Kong is there to help whoever arrived to the island with the other creatures. And whether that happens because Kong's friendly or because he sort of stumbles into helping them like he does in the Peter Jackson one, it doesn't matter. Kong not being the focus in something that is Skull Island related a majority of the time just doesn't work. And it doesn't work here. Okay? Especially like I said, the whole don't show your monster for the first whatever or so doesn't work here at all. Like, maybe in the first couple episodes, if you're setting up your characters, then you can get to Kong and, have him have the attention later on. That way your human characters can have some of the spotlight. But, no, they just brought in Kong at the end because they wouldn't know how to get out of the situation otherwise. It's ridiculous. It doesn't make any sense. After the halfway point, when the characters reunite, it doesn't feel earned at all. They all act like, they've been so worried about each other. Neither party has thought about the other one. Cap, like I mentioned, is not in any hurry to find Charlie. And Charlie, one time, just like Cap, has only said, man, I just hope my dad's okay. Anyway, cool island, right? It's like that for both parties up until episode 5. And then they, hug and embrace. It's like, oh my god, I thought you were gone. Whatever. Ugh. And then what makes this series more especially bad is that near the end, it actually gets pretty good. We started with this flashback in episode 6. Okay. Where she and her father are being attacked by a monster that turned out to be the like parent creature of her big dog thing, creatively named Dog. She mentions earlier in this series, we know each other because our dads hurt each other. And Charlie and Mike are like, whoa, okay, weird, and it is weird. It's really weird. But yeah, she and her dad are getting attacked by Dog's parent, and then little girl Annie comes out and bonds with Dog, with puppy Dog, I guess, and that's how their relationship started. So, mom in this series, that's like looking for her. I forgot to mention that because I was bitching about the other characters, but Charlie's dad, Cap, comes across this woman and her search party, and they're looking for Annie. Later on, you find out they are looking for Annie because that's Annie's mom. The lady that's leading the search party is Annie's mom. In the flashback, we see her arrive to the spot where Annie and her dad got marooned. And they get attacked by dog, and then Annie escapes from that search party. And then, in the present time of the series, they're, looking for Annie. Or, I don't know. Whatever. Doesn't make any sense. Where was I? Oh, yeah. Okay. So, we get that backstory. Okay. And it's actually kind of touching. Like I said, it doesn't really serve the present of where Annie's story is. But, I mean, it's really well done. And then in the episode afterwards, we finally get some stuff with Kong. And his backstory is also really good. Oh, I wanted to mention in episode 6. Okay, I'm all over the place because I'm like, ugh. Anyway, in episode 6, there is this moment that is batshit insane, where there's this whale that just like starts floating across the sky. It's a whale, like a real whale from the ocean. Like that kind of. It's a whale, okay? And it's floating through the sky, and it crashes on Kong's temple, and Kong roars angrily. And then we cut to the ocean, and you see a tentacle go into the water. This thing threw a whale at Kong. It just to assert dominance. It just threw a whale from the ocean at Kong to assert dominance. Well, at one point the characters are talking about it, and this moment actually got me. There's a lot of jokes, but this one actually got me. Where one of the guys in Annie's mom's search party mentions, "Hey Annie, you missed the whale." She was passed out or something. He goes, "You missed the whale." I'm like, what are you talking about? Yeah, there was the thing through a whale, and Annie goes, "Why?" And the guy goes, "My running theory is that it's a dick," and I lost it. I thought, okay, that's quite good. Anyway, the reason the series starting to get good here makes me so especially angrier than when it was bad, is because it's building up to this climax to where they're going to use Kong to fight and kill the squid thing, which he does, and it's really awesome. We get a kaiju fight, and it's awesome. It's really great.
Stop! He's already dead.
But then, and it happens in the last episode, and then things happen, Annie gets knocked out in the commotion, all the characters get separated, and then it just ends. Annie wakes up in a hospital, and she's like, "Why am I here?" She opens her curtains, she's in a city, and then it just ends. Bold of them to sequel bait, because I don't want a season 2 of this. At all. I don't want to revisit these characters. I hated every last one of them. Even the most interesting one was Annie's mom. As bland as she is, she was the most interesting because she had some stakes in this story. But she was blandly written, but that was the least offensive thing about her. So you can't really, fault a character for being kind of bland when they're not really doing anything. And then all the other characters were just either forgettable people or really annoying. I don't want to see these characters again. I don't want this series to get a season 2. And if it does, I'd rather it just be like an anthology series of different people encountering Kong on Skull Island and their adventures. I don't want this version of Skull Island to come back. This was awful. So at the end of the day, is it worth it? I mean, if you feel like going through 5 to 6 episodes of bad dialogue and unlikable characters and absolutely no payoff up until one episode is worth it, then okay, fine. Yeah, I guess in that sense it is worth it. But personally, no, I don't think it is. This was a slog to sit through, and I kept watching it hoping that it would get better. I never want to be the person that watches one episode and goes, "This is done. It's bad." because maybe it could get better later. I mean, whenever someone asks me to watch a TV show and I'm not liking it, and they say, "Oh, no, get to this part of the show, that's when it gets really good," I give up on it, right? Because it should grab me from the beginning. This one didn't, but with the trailers that I saw, I wanted to have hope for it. This was the one time I wanted to set aside that viewpoint of, I'm not really feeling this, I'm going to let it go. And then, it completely disappointed me after the halfway point, and I just kept going because I was like, well, I might as well know what I'm talking about, and I just kept watching. And, like I said, the end of this season, I thought was quite good, but too little too late, I don't think that would classify it as a good series, a great series, or even an okay series. This was bad, and the fact that it just ends makes it even worse. There's no finality to anything. And while they could make it like a cliffhanger, I sure, but it just ends after ramping up, and it makes everything else feel just not worth it. I really didn't like this series. Man, this really took a lot out of me, man. I'm so pissed off at this thing. Anyway, that's gonna do it for me on this video. If you liked it, give it a like, subscribe if you're new, and be sure to follow all of my socials linked down in the description. I've been the Punk Otaku Scribe, and I'll see you in the next one.
You know what they should have called this place? Not Great Island.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!